Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and this is the Hyundai Elantra N. It's been refreshed for 2024 and you've seen the best in the rest of this car, but today we're going to show you everything there is to know about this little pocket rocket. We're going to start by covering what this thing is and kind of what it competes against. Now this thing is actually a little bit in a lonely segment. It's a compact performance sedan, it's affordable, and it kind of competes with Civic Type R, which is also front-wheel drive, but that's a hatchback. Then you've got the VW Golf R, which again, like the Type R, has more power than this and is a hatchback, but the Golf R is also four-wheel drive. Same thing with the GR Corolla. I guess the closest thing that this thing kind of competes against is the WRX, but again, that's all-wheel drive, whereas we just have front-wheel drive here on the Elantra. But then what's new for 2024 here, and what you're looking at is the most obvious thing. 2024 is a facelift year for this Elantra, and it's got a much cleaner, more modern, and I guess just, in my opinion, better looking face. And we'll talk about that more when we talk styling. But the big story is what's under the hood here. Now this is the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that we've seen in the pre-facelifted Elantra N and the Veloster N and the Kona N, RIP to those. But here in the manual equipped car, which we have, is 276 horsepower. You're gonna get up to 10 more horsepower if you go for the dual clutch cars, and that'll enact N-Grin Boost or NGB. That'll give you 10 more horsepower. It's good for 20 seconds, and then it needs another 40 seconds to cool. But either car, manual or DCT, is going to get 289 pound-feet of torque, and 0 to 60 here in the manual, kind of low 5 seconds. And you can expect about 24 mpg. And then as we talk drivetrain, like I mentioned, we have the 6-speed manual transmission. That red button on the steering wheel is Rev, which stands for Rev Match, which you have not in eco mode, but in every other mode. But if you go for the DCT equipped cars, that becomes your NGB or your N-Grin Boost function, kind of like a push to pass in IndyCar or a DRS in Formula One. But any Elantra N is going to be front-wheel drive only, but it's made into a magical, I don't know what they call it, like N-corner carving differential, but it's an electronic LSD and it is pretty magical. Again, we'll play some footage that we took lapping this thing around Road America's Motorplex at the end of the video. You get a little bit of torque steer, but I think that kind of gives it the character. But the diff really is very good. You've also got adaptive suspension, and the suspension has been revised from last gen, or last year, I guess I should say. So for the pre-facelift, and the facelift here gets a new updated suspension. But as we talk about styling, this is really the big difference for 2024 here, and you can see it in the face here. It's so much cleaner, it's more conventional looking, and I just do think it looks good. Now, it looks as if you have a full-width LED headlight. It's not. This is just a piece of, I guess, chrome accenting, but this is your LED runner. You've also got LED headlights and logo in there. You're still gonna get all of that red detailing, and this little noon marker here in the front bumper does very much remind me of the Ioniq 5N. You've also got a very large, very flat, and very black Hyundai logo up there, some hood detailing, and then around the side you get a little bit of a kick there. And then these are kind of a big deal, actually. These are new wheels, and each wheel saves like 8-something pounds. So combined on all 4 corners, you're saving 33 pounds, and that's unsprung weight, and that really makes the car feel more dynamic. They're also upgraded brakes for the N car, which again are very good, and we'll talk about that more on the track. And it's wrapped in 245 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. Very good tires. I really, really liked these. Little N detailing on your red side skirt, and it still looks like it was punched by the Incredible Hulk a little bit. Black detailing. Again, we've got the manual, so no sunroof for us. We do have touch-sensitive lock-unlock, but not for the back. And then some kind of strakes on your C-pillar. Let's take a look at the rear 3/4. I do think it looks very good. But when you get to the back, this is where you can tell that they really didn't do much to the back. The turn signal and reverse lights are not going to be LED, but your running light in this H pattern is going to be, and your brake lights are going to be LED. You've also got this wing, which is pretty exaggerated, but that was pre-facelift as well. And logo, black detailing, and dual active exhaust, and they're huge too. And of course, with the red detailing finishing around the diffuser. I don't know, I think it looks pretty handsome. It's still kind of busy, but I think the facelift definitely makes it look a little bit more handsome. Speaking of handsome, as the handsomest guy that reviews cars on YouTube, every year that title gets harder and harder to hold on to. Like I just turned 30 this year, which means my body has just run out of warranty and I can't drink 36 beers and eat Culvers without consequences anymore. But honestly, my diet is the thing that I struggle with most. I do this, I'm a freelance producer for a couple media companies, I do on-air broadcast stuff for Road America, and that means I'm just busy a lot. And when I get busy, the diet and exercise is usually the first thing that goes. But that's where Factor comes in. Factor keeps me from having to think about meal prep, and it saves me huge amounts of time. I don't have to find recipes on the internet, fight seniors at the grocery store, I don't have to do all the prep and cooking at home, and I don't have to leave dishes in the sink that are just going to cause an argument with my wife. Instead, I'm getting chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to my door, plus there's 35 meals to choose from per week, so the routine never gets stale, and I get to choose categories like Calorie Smart for cutting for the summer, or Protein Plus if I want to put on a little muscle so I can fight Paulo. I mean, these are chef-crafted meals that I can have on the table in 2 minutes, so I can spend all that extra time that I would have spent meal prepping and all that stuff, I can spend that time with my family and with my friends, and especially with the weather being nice now, I really want to maximize that time. And not only that, but I can flex my plan, so when GMC wants to send me to South Carolina for 2 days to drive their new Acadia, I don't have to waste meals when I'm traveling. I can change my order up every week if I want to, with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or I can pause or reschedule my deliveries entirely. Now, Factor did sponsor this video, but I've been using Factor for about a week now, and it really has saved me so much time from gathering new recipes to grocery shopping to meal prep and cleanup after the meal. I've been able to spend more time doing things that I want, like spending time with my wife and our dogs and going to the lake, and I've been able to do all that while staying disciplined in my diet and seeing better results in my overall health and fitness. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code DOWNSHIFT50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code DOWNSHIFT50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Now back to the video. But as we head into the trunk, this button here in the center, it's not powered, but it is a little spring actuated. And the size is actually pretty good, 14 cubic feet of space. You can pull these and drop the rear seat, but it does drop as one cohesive unit. You do have this red chassis bracing or scaffolding in the back, which is very helpful. You do get lift-off oversteer with something like this. So it's a nice rigid chassis, but if you're wondering about it and you're concerned and you may need to load something long in here, you can remove this. It's about 4 bolts, as you can probably see. You take that out, and then you can drop the seat and put something through. But overall, a huge opening, very practical trunk, and it kind of had to be if it's going to compete against hatchbacks. But it does a good job. And then we'll check out the rear seats. You do have a little Alcantara on the door here, but otherwise, kind of scratchy plastic. It's okay. This is a very affordable, inexpensive car. You do have some blue stitching, some Alcantara here, some Alcantara through the back, and then we'll step in. Again, I'm 6'1", sat behind myself here. Loads of knee room. I do have headroom, although I do need a haircut pretty badly. My hair is gonna rub up against, but if you don't have an afro like myself, you probably won't rub your hair. No vents, which is a bit annoying. No climate zone, a bit annoying. No map pockets, a bit annoying. And also, aside from these things in the door, no cup holder, because again, this all comes down as one big piece. So no cup holder, no vents, no map pockets, but you do get USB-C chargers and plenty of room. So overall, kind of hard to ding it. And then the front seats, of course. We still have that Alcantara detailing, but we have a little bit more detailing and perforations in here. You can also see you've got the Bose speakers down here, they're actually pretty good, I like them. And for your kick plate, but then the seats, very, very cool. You've got the light up in here, I wonder where they got that from. But blue stitching, very cool sculpted looking seat. We've got that performance blue or boost blue, whatever they're calling it. Little detailing there in the center of the seat. They are manual adjust, but they are heated. They're heated as well, which is pretty nice. But yeah, just a lot of drama. Very, very cool. Now let me talk about the cabin design overall. Now it does look, yeah, it looks exactly the same as last year. Now black is the only color interior you're gonna get, but I think it suits the car, especially with this performance blue paint on the outside, which is a $500 option, but it is very good. You do get matching blue stitching in your seats, in your steering wheel, on your end buttons, and just little details around the cabin. But your steering wheel itself is very cool. There's a lot going on here. On the right-hand side, you do have your not adaptive cruise, but you do get your cruise control with lane keeping assist, and it works very well. You can have your hands off the steering wheel. It'll keep you in your lane for like over 20 seconds without annoying you. Media controls on that side. You have a unfilled in N on the left, and then a filled in one on the right. So that's kind of basic standard N mode, and then you press this one to get into your custom N setting, and that's your rev match button, that red rev button right there. Very, very cool. And you get this big dramatic grab handle, the oh shit handle for your passenger, because, you know, sports car stuff. And I did mention the dual clutch cars will get a sunroof, or can get a sunroof. You do get physical buttons for your HVAC controls, you do get physical buttons for your heated seats, and you do get a physical parking brake. So a lot of physicality, a lot of tactility, and it works really well, this interior. And then as we start to talk about the technology, you're not going to get a head-up display. Now, personally, this is not something that's like standard or expected in the segment, but you do get a 10.3-inch center cluster. It does change depending on your mode selection and that sort of thing. So there's your N mode, you get the fire detail, very cool. You've also got a sport, normal, and custom, or eco rather. Eco is the only one that's not going to allow you to do the rev matching, but this is really nice. Loads of different information. You can kind of cycle through menus up there. Very, very good. And then your center screen here, again, 10.3 inches. The CarPlay is wired. You are going to need to use the USB-A down here, but you do have it. And then you've got your N mode in here, which gives you loads and loads and loads of information. Throttle telemetry, temperatures, lap timing, your brake pressure. You've also got your tach here, and you can even select. We were at Road America this morning doing our laps, but you know, the Motorplex is right in here, so you could see us kind of bopping around in there, which is just kind of fun. Oops, I can also show you your custom settings. So you can control everything about this car: the engine response, the steering feel, the suspension stiffness and harshness, rev matching, on, off, sport, whatever. You can even control your diff, your stability control, and your active sound. This is your active sound design. And you even have launch control in your manual cars. Pretty wild, but very, very cool. Kind of typical Hyundai stuff here. You do have quiet mode, so it's going to dull the speakers in the back to keep any sleeping infants, or anyone really, quiet back there. And you do have your media and your sounds of nature. So lively forest, sailing ships, city at dawn, all of the stuff that you're used to seeing, you still got it in here. And you don't have a 360 camera, but you do have a nice reverse camera. And I really don't expect a 360 camera in something of this class. But I mentioned that the interior is pretty much identical to last gen, with this difference. You see this little raised part of your wireless charger? That's going to make a more flush connection to the phone. It's going to charge more efficiently. It's not going to heat it up as much. This is a nice and thoughtful addition, and will probably make more sense if and when they equip this with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Because for now, I'm just going to plug it in anyway. And a couple little odds and ends. I want to talk about the pedal box, because it's like perfectly spaced for heel and toe. Really cool. Very thoughtful, very performance car. This car also likes to be shifted quick and hard. It's honestly the smoothest to shift when you are shifting kind of fast. So they really do want you to drive this thing like you're on the Nürburgring. N also stands for either Nürburgring or Namyang, depending on who you ask. And one weird thing is they still have this little icon to the left of the gauge cluster. Now I get that kind of balances out this side and this screen, but like, what does this do? This doesn't do anything. Somebody, if you know in the comments what this does, leave it down there, because I can't figure out what this is. And the last thing we'll touch on, of course, is price. Now this thing starts at $33,700, and really transmission is, transmission and paint, I guess, are the only options that you're gonna charge for. So the manual is free, you're gonna pay more for the DCT, but it's $500 for this performance blue paint. So as tested, we're at $35,320, and that is significantly cheaper than really all of the competitors that we mentioned: Golf R, Type R, GR Corolla. WRX is also less expensive than those three, but I think let's explore what the personality is like behind the wheel on track. All right, we've done our scouting laps. Now we're gonna do a warm up and then get going. Brakes are excellent. Off brake, power on, diff is great. start there. Lean more on brakes, less on tires. All right. And we'll come in for our first flyer. Elantra N, sunny days, here we go! Good. Excellent brakes. A little bit too much on the brake, I can brake later. Brakes might be too good for these tires. Understeer, power out. The diff is great. The diff is so good early on corner entry. Wow. No understeer there, that's great. Change direction and on power.